The entire park was silent. Everyone watched closely as Lily, the little girl, stayed calm in front of the frightened German shepherd. Max, the big dog who had made the whole crowd panic, was no longer barking wildly. His growls were softer now. His eyes were still scared but less angry. Lily knew she had to move slowly and carefully. She didn't want to frighten Max even more. So she crouched down lower, showing that she wasn't a threat. She held out the small biscuit in her hand. Her voice soft and gentle. "It's okay, Max," she whispered kindly. "I'm not going to hurt you. You're safe now." Max sniffed the air again. His nose twitched. He looked at Lily's eyes, then at the biscuit. His tail was still stiff, but he wasn't growling anymore. The people in the crowd barely breathed as they watched. No one wanted to move or make a sound that might break the fragile moment. Slowly, Max took a few cautious steps toward Lily. His paws were careful on the ground. He lowered his head, still unsure, but something inside him told him that this small, gentle girl meant no harm. Finally, Max reached Lily's hand and carefully took the biscuit from her fingers. He chewed it slowly, his body still tense but calming down bit by bit. Lily smiled softly. "Good boy," she whispered. "See? It's okay." She didn't rush to pet him. She didn't try to grab his collar. She just let him eat in peace. She stayed still, her calm energy wrapping around the dog like a warm blanket. Max sat down. His breathing slowed. His ears relaxed. The wild fear that had taken over him was fading. He looked at Lily with eyes that were no longer wild but curious. Even gentle Mr. Thompson, the trainer, watched with tears in his eyes. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His voice was choked as he whispered, "She's calming him. She's actually calming him." The security guards, who had been ready to call animal control, slowly lowered their radios. The crowd began to relax, though many still looked stunned. Lily slowly reached out her hand again, this time not with food but with kindness. Max hesitated for a moment, then carefully pressed his nose into her palm. She gently touched his head, giving him soft strokes. "There you go, buddy," she whispered. "You're not alone." Max gave a small wag of his tail. He licked her hand once, softly. The tension in his body finally melted away. He was calm. He was safe. The people watching broke into quiet applause. Some wiped away tears. They couldn't believe what they had witnessed. One brave little girl had done what no one else could. She had turned fear into trust, not with force, not with fear, but with kindness and courage. The park, which had been full of fear and panic just moments ago, was now quiet. Everyone stood still, watching in amazement as the once scared and angry German shepherd, Max, sat calmly beside the little girl, Lily. Lily gently patted Max's head, her touch soft and full of kindness. The big dog, who had seemed dangerous before, now looked peaceful. His tail gave a small wag, and his breathing was calm. Mr. Thompson, the trainer, carefully stepped closer. He moved slowly, not wanting to startle Max. He still couldn't believe what he was seeing. The dog he had raised and loved had been completely calmed by this tiny, brave girl. "Thank you," Mr. Thompson said softly, his voice shaking with emotion. "You saved him, and you saved everyone else too." Lily smiled shyly but didn't say much. She was still focused on Max, making sure he stayed relaxed and happy. She knew that sudden movements or loud voices could scare him again. She stayed patient and gentle. The crowd slowly gathered around at a safe distance. People clapped quietly. Some were wiping away tears. Others took out their phones to capture the incredible moment. Everyone was talking about the brave little girl who had stopped the chaos with nothing but kindness. One woman whispered, "I've never seen anything like it." Another man said, "She's amazing. That little girl saved the day." The security guards, who had been ready to call animal Control smiled and nodded. They no longer needed to do anything. The danger was. It was a sunny afternoon in a small town. Families came together for a fun day in the park. There were food stalls, music, balloons, and laughter everywhere. Many children were playing while their parents watched happily. In the center of the park, a dog show was about to begin. People gathered around a fenced area to see the show. Everyone was excited to watch the dogs perform tricks and show how well they were trained. One of the dogs in the show was a big German shepherd named Max. Max was a strong, beautiful dog. His trainer, Mr. Thompson, had raised Max since he was a puppy. The two shared a deep bond, and Max had always been known as a smart and obedient dog. But on that day, something felt different. Max was acting strange. He was restless, his ears were pinned back, and his tail was stiff. Some people noticed Max's unusual behavior, but most were too busy enjoying the show to pay attention. Suddenly, without warning, Max let out a loud bark and pulled hard on his leash. Before the trainer could react, the leash snapped. Max was free. In a flash, everything changed. Max growled and barked wildly. His eyes were wide with fear. He wasn't attacking anyone, but he was clearly terrified and out of control. The crowd panicked. People screamed and started running in all directions. Parents grabbed their children and rushed away. Vendors abandoned their food carts. Even the event organizers and security guards looked unsure of what to do. Mr. Thompson called Max's name over and over, but the dog wasn't listening. Max's mind was clouded by fear. He circled the area, barking and growling. The happy day had turned into chaos in just a few seconds. Some people shouted for help. Others said someone should call animal control. A few even yelled that the dog should be stopped before someone got hurt. It was a scary scene. Everyone was afraid the dog might bite someone. No one wanted to get close. Even people who loved dogs knew it was dangerous to approach an angry or scared dog. Amid all the shouting, running, and fear, something surprising happened. While everyone else was trying to escape, one small figure stood perfectly still. It was a little girl about 7 or 8 years old. She didn't move. She didn't scream. She just stood quietly, watching the frightened German shepherd with calm eyes. No one noticed her at first. All they cared about was getting away. But that little girl was about to do something that would change everything. She wasn't afraid. Somehow, she seemed to understand that Max wasn't truly mean or bad. He was just scared, just like a child who gets lost in a big crowd. And while the world around her ran away, the little girl stayed. The park, which had been full of laughter and smiles just moments earlier, was now filled with screams and panic. The big German shepherd Max was running loose, barking loudly and growling. People were terrified. Parents clutched their children and ran in every direction. Some people tripped and fell. Others hid behind benches, food stalls, or cars. The peaceful day had turned into a nightmare in just a few minutes. The trainer, Mr. Thompson, kept calling out, "Max, Max. Calm down, boy." But Max wasn't listening. His mind was full of fear. He didn't understand what was happening. All he knew was that he was scared, and when animals are scared, they sometimes act in ways that seem angry or dangerous. Security guards showed up, but even they weren't sure what to do. If they tried to catch the dog too quickly, Max might bite someone out of fear. If they waited too long, he could hurt himself or others by accident. Some people in the crowd shouted, "Call animal control." Others cried, "Stop the dog before it bites someone." There was panic everywhere. It was like a wave of fear that spread from person to person. Even people who loved dogs were afraid to go near Max. He looked wild, confused, and dangerous. The sound of people shouting made Max more nervous. His barking got louder. His growling didn't stop. He didn't know who to trust or where to go. All he wanted was to feel safe again. In the middle of this chaos, something unusual happened, something no one expected. A small girl stood completely still. While everyone else was running and hiding, this little girl didn't move. She didn't scream or cry. She just watched the scared dog with calm eyes. Her name was Lily. She was only 7 years old, wearing a simple dress and holding a tiny stuffed animal in her hand. Lily loved animals, especially dogs. She had spent hours reading about them and watching shows about how to understand their feelings. She knew something very important. When dogs are scared, they don't need more fear. They need calmness. They need someone who won't panic. Lily didn't see a dangerous monster in Max. She saw a scared animal who didn't know how to handle the loud noises, the running people, and the fear around him. The adults didn't notice Lily right away. They were too busy screaming and running. But slowly, a few people began to see her standing there. Some gasped in shock. Others shouted at her to move away, but Lily didn't listen. She knew in her heart that she couldn't run. If she ran, Max would stay scared. Someone had to be brave enough to help him feel safe again. And so, while fear controlled the crowd, one small, brave girl made a different choice. She stayed. As the panic continued around her, little Lily stood perfectly still. She wasn't like the others who screamed and ran away. She didn't look scared at all. Instead, she looked calm and gentle, her big eyes watching the frightened German Shepherd carefully. The dog, Max, was still growling and barking, but something about Lily caught his attention. She didn't act like a threat. She didn't shout or wave her arms. She simply stood there quietly, showing no fear. Lily had always loved animals, especially dogs. She had read books about them and watched shows that taught her how dogs think and feel. She knew that sometimes when dogs act angry, it's not because they are mean, it's because they are scared or confused. Max wasn't a bad dog. He was terrified. He had escaped by accident, and the loud noises, running people, and shouting made him even more frightened. His heart was pounding, and he didn't know who to trust. Lily remembered what she had learned. When an animal is scared, you must stay calm. Never run. Never shout. Show them you are a friend, not an enemy. Slowly, very slowly, Lily took a small step forward. The crowd gasped. Some people shouted, "Stop! Get back!" But Lily ignored them. She knew she had to be gentle. She kept her hands down and her voice soft. "Hey there, buddy," she whispered. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." Max growled softly, but he didn't move toward her. His ears twitched. His eyes, which had looked so wild a moment ago, now showed something different: confusion and curiosity. Lily crouched down a little to make herself look smaller, less scary. She kept her eyes on Max but didn't stare in a threatening way. She smiled softly. "I know you're scared," she whispered kindly. "It's okay. I get scared too sometimes." The trainer, Mr. Thompson, stood frozen, watching in disbelief. He wanted to run and grab the dog, but he knew that any sudden move might cause Max to panic again. The crowd was silent now, all eyes on the tiny girl and the big German Shepherd. It was like time had stopped. Lily reached into the pocket of her dress and pulled out a small biscuit she had saved from earlier. It wasn't much, but it was something dogs usually loved. She held it out slowly, her hand steady. "It's okay," she whispered again. "Come on, boy, you're safe." Max sniffed the air. His growling softened. He took one careful step toward her, then another. His eyes were still unsure, but something in Lily's calm voice and gentle face made him pause. For the first time since the panic started, there was hope. Lily didn't move too fast. She didn't try to grab him. She just stayed patient, quiet and kind, and the angry, frightened dog began to change.